Parks Commission meeting, Thursday, November 21st, 2024. Katie, could you please take roll?
Karen Mao.
Here.
Liz Lasky.
Here.
Lainey Razga.
Here.
John Beach.
Here.
Karen Peltola.
She's excused.
Tim O'Connor.
Present.
And Sean Wojcicki. Absent.
Yes. Has everyone gotten a chance to look at the agenda?
Yep.
Does anyone want to?
Make a motion to approve.
Support. All in favor? Yes. Motion passed. Citizen public comments. I see Sarah and Greg. Either of you want to?
No, I'm not here to comment.
Glad you're here, though.
Go to the podium?
Yes. So you.
You dropped something on the
Drop
floor
something.
too.
I have 10 minutes.
I don't know what that is. 5
I'm
minutes.
just kidding.
I don't think we. Are you trying to scare us?
My name is Greg King, spelled Greggking. Oh, thank you. And I live at 526 3rd Street. And it was suggested to me that I come and talk to the Parks Commission about my concern. When I was growing up in the area of the marina, city marina on River Street, used to be a coal yard. And I remember they had a coal dispenser at that time when I was a little guy. Something happened and they put a beautiful park in, and I have to compliment the parks, Manistee are really great. And when I have visitors from out of town, they really like the parks and the river walk, so hats off to that. But I have a concern about the Marina Park shuffleboard courts. I don't know if we're aware of it. The North Shuffleboard Court, and for you who don't play shuffleboard, this is a puck. And one of the cracks on the North Shuffleboard Court makes this puck fly in the air 3 feet when you shoot it from one end. So that's unusable. The South Shuffleboard Court has 2 cracks, and now they're probably about an 1/8 inch. So they're starting to get worse. So there's been settling over the years. I know a few years ago, and I date everything to the pandemic, the News Advocate did an article about me playing shuffleboard. It is one of my passions. I don't play as often as I'd like, but it does, it's nice to go down there. But this year, haven't really been able to do it because of the condition of the shuffleboard court. So
Okay.
I'd like the Park Commission to be aware of this, and anything you can do to help be approved would be muchly appreciated. So,
I would like to just let you know that there's on the city website, there's a place you can call See, Click, Fix. And anytime you find something that needs to be addressed like that, that's very effective because it's out there, the city manager's looking at it, the staff sees it, and I found it really works and for things to get addressed actually quickly. So just so you know for the future, I think Jeff heard this time, so.
This works too.
and I'm old school, I prefer
Yeah.
face-to-face.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you for.
Yeah.
But just so you know, it's an option.
And if you're interested,
I've
just
seen it.
Okay.
we're actually having Mark Fetter. I'm going to talk about this later. Is doing a city marina history talk at the city marina in February. So
In the
if
evening.
you're
Nice
interested,
program.
yeah, it'll be open to the public. And if you're interested in reliving or
Or adding to it.
Where they used to have the old submarine park?
Yes.
yeah, exactly. So
Okay,
Well,
well, I have to leave, I have another meeting coming up, but I wanted to bring this concern.
I appreciate
thank you.
I wasn't aware of that, so I appreciate you bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, just a footnote, I've had to pull picnic tables off those courts and other things, so they do get abused a little bit.
They do.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you.
Anyone else?
No, I've been
Not
waiting
today?
a while, I'll just stop in and see what's new and exciting in the parks.
Okay, thanks. Nothing from Sarah? No. Nope. Okay. All right then. Has everyone seen the minutes?
Yes.
Yes, would anyone like to make a motion to approve them?
Go ahead, John.
Want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Yes,
Aye. Okay, motion carried. Correspondence, the only one that I have is Karen Peltola, who is excused but not here, asked me to read this for her. She says, "Our commission is looking for a uniquely Manistee item, experience, etc. for our Forest Festival Park Art Drop 2025, looking ahead, and a piece of artwork from a Manistee area resident for our Park Art Drop 2025 in September. Items must be a donation to the Parks Commission without cost." Think into the future, if anyone has any leads on.
there's a way to advertise that.
I bet I could put something together and ask
If
Kelly.
you write it up, you could submit it to Kelly McCall and she can post it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. And also, she dropped off some festive Christmas balls and ribbon and things, weighted, big, they're the size of basketballs, big gold balls for the Lions Pavilion.
And I hope to do it this weekend. so-
Liz is gonna throw something together for the holidays, so. But that's Karen, she's not here, but she's here in spirit and is working outside the meetings to further the cause. So, does anyone else have any correspondence?
I got a text message from Ed Tegler, a couple things. We did an experiment of the city flag at the Fifth Avenue beach in the park. Actually got a pretty good response, but as you all know, the wind tears those things apart. So in the experiment of what he did, it would be recommended that we at least budget for 2 flags, park flags, a year to put up at the park. So when the one becomes tattered and worn, we can replace it with another one. But Ed thinks we need at least 2 flags a year. Do you know where those get ordered from at all?
They were created and sold by the Rotary many years ago.
So we could do a little bit of research where they came from.
So I had done some, when this came up, I had done some research. There's companies that if you send the image, they can reproduce flags. They're probably of material and quality that would be appropriate for down there. So if this is something we want to continue with, I think we probably try to find some of the old artwork or take a picture of that and send it off to a company where we could just source it.
Personally, I know we talked about it as a Parks Commission. It'd be nice to update the flag.
Well, use it since the city has a new logo, basically,
Right.
so.
So, and that was developed years ago, which most people honestly weren't aware of. So
Yeah.
my feeling is before we invest in more, I don't know how I need to bring it up before the city council, but to do a project, city input, and develop a new city flag, but with everybody's input before we start putting more up at the park. So,
You really got to have a face-to-face with some council people.
yeah. Yeah. Get some influence. But
Just a suggestion.
yeah, we kind of toyed with that idea last year. Is that flag really reflective of our city anymore? Or is when, like you said, we do have a new city logo, you know, that we pretty much.
It is
There aren't any
beautiful.
Any other place. I think I might have one in our attic, but other than that,
I'll pull it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it would be kind of fun to do almost like a competition a little bit. And
yes.
have different designs and come up and have a city input and, you know, vote on it and let it be the city residents that come up with the design of our
And maybe
flag.
someone would draw it, a graphic artist, and maybe,
Yeah.
maybe the drawing could be the prize for art drop.
Yeah.
The winning drawing could possibly be this art drop prize. You have an
Right.
artist, a little competition to draw a city flag, like Traverse City
Yeah.
does the calendars, or other towns, or not the calendars, the posters. A little competition, and then whoever submits it and wins, maybe they would donate it for our art drop prize.
Yeah.
The graphics of it.
So I'm not sure what the process would be, but I'll make a proposal that we look at redesigning our city flag with some artistic input, you know, input from everybody and then come up with something. But do you think I'd have to go before the city council for that?
I think engagement from city council is the right place to begin with.
Yeah.
And if there's interest from the council, then they could delegate it to you guys or some other group, but I think that's the way to kick it off, yeah.
I mean, because I mean, we have a lot of United States flags, obviously, but it'd be nice to have some identity with our own city flag, especially in our parks. And we have the locations to be able to provide that. So Ed suggested 2 flags for the parks, make sure that we're flying them regularly. It's kind of cool to see the old flagpole work, and it was noticed that the flag was up there. So it'd be nice to continue that, whether it be that flag or whether we do other flags. Ed also wanted to make a note that all the equipment out there has been basically repainted on Fifth Avenue Beach. They did a nice job with their group, so I was pretty happy with that. Another note, Jeff, have you noticed all the cracks on the walls of the new wall that was
I
built?
have not.
There's like 8 to 10 good cracks. I actually went out there today, so all along, significant cracks. So that was brought up of a concern. So that's less than a year old, so I wonder if there's some type of warranty that could be looked at with something like that. But definitely, I took some pictures. I can show you later, but they're pretty significant.
Tim, are they the ones where the sections come together? So
No,
No, they're
They're-
not. Right in the center.
right in the center, off to the side.
It's all to, yeah.
Yeah,
center.
it's sad to see something so brand new to start falling
Because it
apart.
looks so perfect.
Yeah, you know, and I know it's that wind, it's the weather, the winter. It seems like that should, but
It's gotta last, and we haven't had a winter yet on it.
yeah, I would just hate to see it deteriorate so quickly. But just to make, Ed brought that up, and I went and took a look at it, and
I saw
it
it.
is.
is there a warranty on their work for a certain amount of time?
Yeah, typically the construction warranty is 1 year. I know it's reinforced with epoxy coated steel, so it's not like it's going to come apart, but usually those walls have, just like a sidewalk or concrete pad, you score it and so that when it cracks in a predicted location.
Right.
But I'll go take a look at it too.
Yeah, it's almost every section. It's got a couple cracks in it.
Okay.
So I counted 8 altogether. So, but that was a report from Ed. So,
You're next on the agenda too, by the way.
oh, I'm next.
If no one else has any other correspondence, you can
Yeah, to be honest with you, on the parks, I've only had an opportunity to look at Fifth Avenue. I know everything else is being shut down, winterized, getting ready for the winter. So only had an opportunity to look at Fifth Avenue. I could kind of like, I know, I'm sorry. I had to go to Culver's. I had to eat something.
No, I'm just
That's
kidding.
what I did.
just. It was a
No,
No, I get it.
yeah, Fifth Avenue.
I noticed the parking lot at Duffy. I actually drove through it, and it was, is there any plan? I know there's a plan for the future to repave that, but what's the timeline on getting rid of that gravel section of parking lot over there?
It's just prioritizing parks improvements, because that pavement would come out of the parks capital improvement. So I've got updated estimates on it. It's just a matter of being able to fund it.
So what was the most recent number? Do you remember?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I can understand.
Well, I've got a spreadsheet, so usually on an annual basis, I have the engineers update those. And we actually compiled it like an asset management plan. If you think about, if you really stop and think about all the parking lots we have spread throughout the community, there's got to be 30 or more. And so what we did was, I think 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, is identified the size and location of each of those, put them in a spreadsheet, identified the current condition of the pavement, and then anticipated what type of upgrade would be necessary for each of those, and then quantified that. So then on an annual basis, when I go through the budgeting process, I ask for the construction dollars and the paving dollars to be updated. And then where I think there's an opening, or if the commission voted as that one of the priorities, then I would try to push that and see if we can get it funded, so.
There's a lot of parking lots that need it, right?
There's a lot. That one, just because it's gravel and
Yeah.
that one's a priority in my mind. And then I've mentioned the boat launch parking lot at First Street. It's severely deteriorated. And we're at the point that asphalt is so thin and the pavement is, it gets down to what we call hockey pucking, so the raveling of the oils and the existing pavement are getting down into the 3-4 inch kind of, they look like hockey pucks, they look like the shuffleboard size, but they just keep breaking down, and then we have to plow that for the winter, and so at some point that's gonna start pulling it up and creating a lot of potholes, and so.
Are those like the two highest priority parking lots in the system, you think?
They are for me, yeah. Personally, they are. And we've, when we did the sewer separations, we were able to upgrade the Lions one. We upgraded at First Street. We upgraded the one next to the beach house at First Street. We upgraded this one between the two softball fields. When we did Cherry Street, we did Lighthouse parking lot. So, I mean, we've been sprinkling them in some. North Beach is okay. Memorial parking lot, I've been kind of bouncing money to at least seal coat that and restripe it, but I want to do it after the construction of the park is done. But those two to me, are the top priorities.
You got Fifth Avenue. You did
And
that.
Fifth Avenue, we
Yeah.
just redid, yep,
Nice.
yep.
Everything looks really nice. It's just a couple here and there that are
Yep.
gonna be nice to finish off. Sean is not here. Did anyone happen to go by Morton or Reed's just on
I
by chance?
drive around Reed's. The bathrooms are locked.
Yes.
So, everything looked fine. The leaves have been picked up, which I imagine there is huge.
Like 5 times, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's been nice. One thing I did do is I went to the non-motorized park and I walked around it. And I did see where the lumpy trail is for bikes this time. I found it. And it's kind of weird because there's some tarps on the ground there. And I didn't know if they served a function or they were just garbage. So I didn't pick them up because they were like right on the trail. So you don't know either from the look on your face.
Maybe there's water? Is there water?
We do very little out there.
Okay.
The Shoreline Cycling Club is a nonprofit that kind of keeps that operational.
And then some of the signage was knocked down or like they were missing parts. And I only did one loop, but I did manage to get out there. And I'm real happy, 9th Street boat launch is still, the porta potty still looks good.
It's still there?
Yeah, and it's very much appreciated by people,
Yes.
because I've had people tell me that. So, that's my report. But the park needs to be refreshed a little, the non-motorized park.
Did you happen to see Mac as well?
No,
No? Okay. But I saw it since you guys repainted it, and it looks
Yeah, I
really
was-
nice. It's a big improvement, so, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's me next then. Rotary Park looked great. No comments at all down there. Lighthouse Park also is looking really nice. The only thing I noticed is the octagonal picnic table at the back on the west side. I guess it's the southwest one is still like this. So, did you guys level the other one sitting next to it, the one on the north?
I mentioned it, but I don't know if they.
Yeah, make a note to
Yeah.
mention it to
Yeah, the one on the north looks really
Turn 'em around.
pretty good, but the one on the left is really askew, so I don't know that anybody's sitting out there when it's this kind of weather, but,
When the sun comes out, people
Really?
come out.
yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
And that's leads into my other comment. There was nobody in the parks when I went on Tuesday to check them all out, and there was one guy out playing disc golf, but he was too far away for me to chase down and chat with, so it was cold, it had rained, but yeah, no, everything was looking really good. It's just, it's not getting used as much because the weather's turning and kids are back in school and not as many visitors, but everything looks still really nice. So, no real comments other than that table. Nice.
I've got the Lions Pavilion, and I'll get the greens in this weekend before Sleigh Bell. and get them decorated with Karen's items that she donated. And Katie, do you have the key, or who has the key to that showcase? It might be kind of neat to decorate that a little bit.
We have it at the
Okay, I
DPW.
might stop by and get that if that's okay, and I'd bring it back.
Decorate for like the season.
Yeah, just put a little something in there. Merry Christmas from, whatever I can come up with. And then the picnic tables, you do paint those, right, in the winter, some of those down there? You
Some of
bring
them,
those
yeah.
in, some, okay. And then there was one request for a trash can, and I think they meant by, where it goes out to that little rotary, overlook pad right there, that,
There's one all season, but we pulled in all but a few of them.
Okay.
For this late in the year.
yeah, because people are still going down there. There was people, they were fishing down. It's the best time. That's the best time to be at the beach, is this time of year. It's gorgeous down there today. And people were coming up. There was fishermen, and there was a couple dogs, and they were taking the bags with them, but not everybody does that. So if we could just maybe
I
put.
did today. So it's still in the car, reminded me.
Remind you tomorrow. So, yeah, is that where you think it should go, like possibly? It'd be nice if we could.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
We spot very few of the cans throughout the parks at this time, and then we bring the rest back
Yeah,
for safer storage.
yeah. If
That's kind of what I was thinking when I put it in the car. I thought, well,
And it doesn't even probably have to be the nicer bag. It could even just be a drum trash can, because it is mostly dog droppings that are gonna probably go in there in a bag.
We make a note of that.
And the marina,
To the sidewalk to the rotary deck.
yes, thank you.
We'll just put it there for a month or so.
Yeah, thanks, Chip. And that's basically it. The marina, the bathrooms they stay open all winter, correct, up
Yes.
above? So those are used by travelers and everything, but otherwise, everything looked pretty good down there. That's mine.
Don?
well, Sands Park, I guess everybody is aware that those parts are going now. It looks good. Sidewalk's good. That's complete. I did talk to the ladies at the recreation center there, and I did have a plan to work on the landscaping outdoors with the kids to get the, again, that skin in the game thing with the kids. But it was so nice this fall, I just didn't get to it. So this spring, I'd like to do that if that's okay with you guys. Just maybe put in a little wood chips and stuff around the building, and get the, have a time when the kids are doing it. And, I can do it myself with the kids and whoever else wants to do it. But, otherwise, I mean, it looks really good. Sands Park and North Beach, I didn't check out, and Veterans, I mean, that project's underway, right, for the Riverwalk there, so. And we just went on a walk with John Helge, who explained to us how they're going to take down the trees that are there that are, excuse me, a few trees, not too many, but the burning bush especially, and he's really concerned that we're gonna get a lot of negative feedback from the public when the vegetation is removed. So that's why.
You're talking about that grant that the tree commission had?
Yes.
No.
Well, no, this is not the grant. No. This is
Riverwalk
the
grant.
Riverwalk grant, yeah.
Oh, but you're putting other stuff in.
Yeah, so I'll just give a full update on that. So as you know, we started budgeting money for improving that park in 2018. So we started this effort a long time ago. We finally got awarded an MDNR trust fund grant. Last Tuesday, City Council approved the resolution to accept that grant from the state. So that's been submitted. So we've got the grant funding, we've got our local funding, we've held that in reserve. The Spicer Group landscape architects have been, they're about 30% complete with the design work, so it's not enough to really show you, but I did provide some of the kind of concept plans that Karen had and provided those to Karen. She could pass those around. But essentially what we're trying to do is most of the landscaping that's in there, such as the burning bushes, they're 30 years overgrown. And so the idea is to refresh those. The walkways, a lot of the walkways were brick pavers with wood borders, and then there's some elevated boardwalk. And then the retaining walls that are within that park are broken sidewalk that are stacked unmortared. And so in the past, really 5-6 years, we've seen a tremendous amount of vandalism. There's a lot of people that hang out there. They tend to take those pieces of concrete or the bricks out of the walkways, throw them in the river. And so it's kind of been rapidly getting worse. The wooden elevated walkways and decking is rotted to the point where we were replacing half a dozen boards a year on the surface, but the underside, the foundation of it is bad. And so we've had that closed off to the public for over a year now. I'm glad that Mr. Helge reached out to you, but what we ended up doing is we brought in a arborist from the County Conservation District, and actually 2 people from the Conservation District. We had members of the Tree Commission, and then we had the landscape architect. We walked the entire property and said, what's good, what is appropriate, what should stay, what has to go, and then what can go if it's necessary to go. So like Mr. Veach was explaining, most of the trees in the park are healthy and they're fine. There's a couple dead ones. There's a couple that are struggling, if you will. There's a couple that, due to a new ADA accessible walkway that we're planning from Washington Street through the park down to the lower level and the band shell and the fishing pier platforms. There's some other trees that will have to come out as part of that process. But, and then some of the landscape bushes are, according to the landscape architect, very good, healthy, and appropriate. The burning bushes I found are non-native and they're overgrown, and so those will be coming out. A lot of the arborvitaes are very overgrown and will be coming out. And then we're going to replant some newer things. And there's really been a lot of focus locally, I've noticed, on number one, getting rid of invasive species, but number two, making sure that we have native plants that we're putting back in all these locations. So that's kind of where we're at.
You did put all that in the paper.
Yeah.
You know, so to kind of warn people that it was coming.
Well,
I don't
so,
know what else you could do.
Yeah, so what we plan to do, and we're already having budget, we're at 30% design. We already know we're going to have some budget constraints. So I've been working with the engineers on some ways we can simplify the design and the construction and trying to make sure we get the biggest bang for our dollars out of this. And one of the things that we offered was for the Public Works to do a lot of the tree removal, trimming, and removing some of the landscape bushes. So once we get done with leaf haul and we get past sleigh bell, and depending on how much snow we get and when we got to plow, I'll have crews down there pulling, removing, cutting, and starting to clean out some of that stuff in anticipation for bidding it over the winter time and construction in the spring. So in conversations with the Tree Commission and now with you, we just plan on keeping the public updated when we do that work, so people will notice that we're in there pulling and yanking and doing stuff. And so we want to kind of make it a positive message than what the heck's going on. Today I received some images of some signs that we can put up that say, you know, please excuse our mess while we're working on making progress and improvements. And so, and it's very exposed when you cross the bridge, but from downtown stores. So I think it'll be a great project.
Signs are a really nice idea. It's polite, you know, it's just,
Yeah, and
it shows awareness. that-
most of the stuff that we're going to be able to do is literally going to be dependent on the weather this winter, and then so we could be doing it in December, maybe January, February, March, but we'll get our stuff cleaned out of there before the contractors arrive. So
Has there already been an article in the paper?
There's been multiple articles, but not about the vegetation removal.
About that, okay.
Yeah.
Is there
And
one planned?
Mr. Helge's working on one, and we'll coordinate that.
Okay.
Is there any potential of being able to piggyback on that grant the tree commission received?
There isn't,
Just the trees.
yeah, there isn't a lot of, at this point, I don't think there's any trees planned to be planted. It's more landscaping.
All right.
There's a lot of good mature trees in there. But it was really interesting, and it was helpful to talk to an arborist who says, you know, this is a beautiful tree, but that's non-native, and it's really not good for Michigan. So if it had to come out, no big deal. But there's no harm if it stays, kind of thing. And so I think it was very educational for all of us. The Tree Commission has received really the 2 grants, one through Consumers Energy to plant some trees along A Street and the Boulevard. There are trees that have been removed underneath the high-power electric lines, and so this grant will plant species of trees that are native but don't grow with such a large canopy. And then the big one is through the Conservation District to do a full inventory citywide, which will include all the parks and the right-of-ways. Do a full inventory, do a full condition assessment, and kind of create an asset management plan on how to manage that whole forest, if you will, in the future. And then the Tree Commission's also working on reviewing the species list to make sure that the trees that we allow to be planted through our annual program are appropriate. And then there'll be some training. The Conservation District's going to be doing training with some of my staff on how to properly prune and tree, you know, so when we go out and because we go out this time of year, as soon as leaf pickup's done, is we'll send a crew around and they'll drive all the streets and look at the plow routes. And so we've got big dump trucks that are plowing the streets, and we've got to make sure there's no trees that interfere with the equipment, but we also go down the sidewalks. And so, you know, sometimes when you're just limbing up, like Consumers does, they limb up for the lines.
Yes.
What they leave is really ugly. So we're hoping that grant will help provide some education and more expertise.
Is there anything going on with the South River Walk grant right now?
There is. I think I updated you at the last meeting, but we bid that project out the first time and we did not receive any contractor bids. We bid it out the second time and we received 2 bids that were, the lowest bid was over triple, I think, the project amount. And so we had some internal discussions, and this is a federal grant, so there's a lot of federal paperwork and requirements that go along with that grant. And the project was spread across a pretty diverse cross-section of work. You have landscaping work, you have carpentry work, you have heavy steel work, you have concrete work. And what our theory was that in Northwest Michigan, there's just not a general contractor that's experienced with the federal process, that's comfortable doing such a project as the general contractor when their piece of it may be very small. And so what we did is we're basically going to act with our engineers and city staff as the construction manager. And so we've broken it into, I think it's 5 bid packages. And so we've already opened up 2 of those packages. 3 more will be opened up tomorrow. So we're hoping, you know, the electrical package was one of them. That's under budget. The structural package is a little bit over budget, but with the low bid contractor, we know that there's some clarifications and some things that we can get those numbers down. Then we've got a landscaping budget, and then we've got a bid package. Then we've got a carpentry bid package. And so tomorrow, fingers crossed tomorrow on how those open up. But if everything goes well, we'll get those. The feds require us to award those all at the same time, so we would award 5 contracts and then begin construction as soon as weather allows and have it completed next year.
John, did you finish your report?
I did.
So, but we weren't sure. Okay.
Thank you for asking.
I guess moving on to events. I spoke with.
Well, I have
Sorry,
a few
you
other
have more?
updates if you don't mind.
We're done. Okay, go ahead.
So we're also working on the beach master plans, and we've had a couple preliminary meetings with the landscape architects. Basically, they've kind of summarized all the comments we've received from the online survey, from the in-person at Fifth Avenue and First Street when we did that on a Saturday, from all the focus group 7 sessions that we had. And so they kind of had our steering committee go through and, you know, this is what we heard from all of that, and is it consistent? And so we had some good dialogue. The next step is for them to put images out there of things that we feel that we heard from our public, what we want, what we don't want, and what we want improved. And so sometime in December, we'll be getting out some drawings of the potential projects and changes, or could stay the same. So when that happens, we'll certainly bring all of those to you guys for to look at and get reactions to. And then this week, we learned that a new nonprofit was formed. I don't recall the name of it, but its goal is to get a music stage down at First Street Beach. Their board of directors consists of the Shoreline Showcase, the Salt City Rock and Blues, the a pretty focused group of people. And so we just got kind of an announcement from that group, but I relayed the information that that's still a priority for a lot of people to have a stage at the beach, and so that'll be in those master plan drawings that come out.
On the master plan, Jeff, do we have any representation from the Parks Commission on that?
Yes.
I thought we started. Who represents the Parks Commission on that?
On the beach master plan, but not on this one that you most recent, the beach master plan, I've been attending the meetings that I've known about.
Yeah.
What about this,
The new group?
not-for-profit, that new group?
Well, all we have is an email.
Okay, if we
Yeah.
could get someone.
Their
on
meeting,
that would be
that
nice.
nonprofit is meeting, but we were just informed of it this week.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, if we could, if there's any way someone from the parks could be part of that, or be informed, or be able to attend, I guess.
We were notified by Noah Cameron, so he would be somebody to contact. Just a couple things at Sands Park, where the tennis, I mean, it's sad to see the tennis courts go away. I feel bad that we couldn't fund those improvements, but I think the space that's left has a lot of potential to use for youth football and soccer practices. And so when the grass grows in the spring, I plan to talk with the MRA about, encouraging that use. We did have a kind of a strange thing that happened with our shed in that park. That shed was donated to host and store all of our ice skating rink equipment. This time of year, we try to get basically there's boards that surround our ice skating rink, and then there's brackets that actually go into the ground. So we try to get them into the ground before the ground freezes, because we've made the mistake of waiting too long, and it was a pain. But anyway, we opened up that shed last week, and there is all kinds of football equipment and stuff all over the place in it. And our lock had been cut off, and it was replaced by a padlock. I emailed the teen center and the school.
Yeah.
And I don't know who's responsible.
I think it's the Bob Warner Group.
I don't know who did it, but
Wow.
they didn't ask us permission, and it kind of broke into our facility. So we've stacked it all and put it all off to one side, and so we can get our ice skating rink equipment out of there, and there's a new lock on it. Anyway, nobody's clued me in on what happened, but
They just assumed it was school property, obviously.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then I know that the Manistee Area Public Schools is still working on a new concept plan for that park in Jefferson School, and so I would expect hopefully in December, that we'll be seeing some information on that. And then Reeds Park, there was a organization that reached out to the city manager and I. They are a baseball organization, and they are trying to create a new league in the state of Michigan and have identified 18 communities where they would like to have a hosted team and a facility. And Manistee is one of those. And so they're willing to come in, and they've got pretty strict criteria of what they would like in a facility, not just dimensionally, but they want to have seating for 300 people. They want to have a grass infield. They want to have concessions. They want to have, a whole list of things. And so if a community's facilities are deficient of those things, they will fund them and construct them. So I went around through all of our ball fields. Duffy Park, Sands Park, and the softball fields don't meet the dimensional requirements, and they're really not for baseball. Softball's dimensionally for softball. Those other two fields are really for little league type, midget league type stuff. However, I did identify that Manistee High School's baseball field meets the dimensional requirements, and Reeds Park does. So we had just some online meetings with a representative, and I think Reeds Park, actually both of those facilities have almost everything that they're looking for, but Reeds Park meets most of the criteria for them, with the exception of the Saints have been, on the Saints' top of their wish list is new bleachers and new lighting. So it's likely that we may be bringing forward to City Council a new lease agreement where they could use that park. We've introduced them to at least one member of the Saints board, and seeing if we can make sure that the two organizations can coexist.
Right.
And then, so when the Saints are away this weekend, this team could play, and vice versa. But they're willing to put, and they said that facility is so far along, there may be some other things that they'd be willing to invest in. The school is kind of the same way, except that the school doesn't have any controlled fencing because they charge admission to the games, and they want to have some beer sales. They said, we don't make money off the beer, but it's a really cool amenity for having a cold beer watching a ball game on a Saturday afternoon. So more to come on that, but they sounded really interested in the city. And then I saw that on your agenda, the kind of priorities that you guys had done for the current fiscal year. After the first of the year, I'll start working on assembling all my budgets, and so we've got some time, but I'd like you to start thinking about, what we prioritized last year. Have those changed at all? Have there been new things? Do you want to take things off? And so it's very helpful for me when you guys, from your perspective, recommend those capital improvements. That's it for me.
Thank you. I didn't have to say a thing. You said everything I wanted to say. I love it. Let's check that one off under new business. Okay. Anything else from you? Okay. Then I guess we can go on to events. I had a conversation with Mark Fetter, and he is interested in doing a February in place of our third Thursday meeting, just like we did for the original parks presentation.
Right.
Hopefully, if the city marina is available on that night, we could do it down in that location.
We should probably reserve that if we could.
Yes, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Do you want to? Do you mind doing that?
No.
Okay, thank you.
What was the date again? Let me make sure I got it.
The February one, the
20th.
The 20th, 2/20. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
February 20th.
And were we-
Brett,
Katie,
is Greg
Katie,
still
will you
here?
check on the availability of that?
Okay. like
Katie will
you
do
That's
that.
perfect.
Yeah, and.
From
and-
5:30 on to like 8.
Well, did we
or
want
all
to
evening.
do a short little, last time we did a
Yes.
short little meeting before, and he
Yes.
started his at 6 or 6:30?
It'd be nice if, yep, thanks, Kate.
Thank you. So he was excited about that, or maybe I was excited. Somebody was excited. It was a good fun. But I think it's going to be really interesting. And
Somebody will.
somebody's going to be
I
excited.
think you both were excited.
Probably. Yeah. So I love Mark. He does a great job. So I'm really thrilled that he's willing to do that for us. Yeah. And then movies in the park, I've not heard anything back yet from the technical fellow. And then story time.
Ludington does movies in the park, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
You
That's who
missed the
she's-
meeting because I contacted the Ludington Downtown Board. I saw their sign when I was down in Ludington the other
Yeah.
day in September and put a phone call in, and I got a phone call back from the mayor, Mark Barnett. Did they elect a new mayor?
I don't know who did.
Okay, well, at the time, Mark Barnett, the mayor, called me, and we had a really nice conversation, and he told me lots of history, and I can type it all out for you and give it to you, but also his technical man is in AV, is that right, at the high school, the AV department, and he's the one who actually brings everything out, sets it up, puts it on.
Does it sound like it's an expensive?
No.
Oh, really?
As long as we have the equipment or can provide the proper speakers and screen, and I don't know if we have to invest in that,
Okay.
but no, it's basically the licensing fee was $400 to $600 for,
For the summer?
they do 3 or 4 just in August,
Oh,
September.
okay.
Because
For that price.
I think for a whole season, if someone wanted to sponsor, it was around $1,200. So I think it must have been about $400 per movie, and then they did 3 last summer, and $1,200. But yeah, no, it was very inexpensive, and
Awesome.
yes, as long as we could provide the equipment, that was the uncertainty I haven't gotten to yet.
All right.
But yes, I have an email out to him and
Cool.
waiting for a response. And with story time in the park, I put out an email to Angie Fisher, haven't gotten back yet. Have you
Okay.
talked to her?
No.
Okay, because I'm
I'm like,
curious.
wow, I'm barely through last summer.
Well, I just wanted to feel out, what are her thoughts, because they have that great new little story park next to the library. And I know
Yes.
they're gonna wanna promote that and do a lot of activities there. And I thought if you guys are willing, it would be nice to offer to do some kind of a story time event with her in that new story park, because she's been really supportive of our parks and drawing people in.
Well, and I don't know if everyone's aware, they have a, I don't know, book bike thing now. And I can't remember who was even, she was there and who else. But we talked about possibly doing, so they go places and give away books to kids using this bike. And it takes at least 2 library staff to do this. And I kind of said, well, we'd be willing to help you. You wouldn't need 2 library staff because we'd help, and take that bike in our parks to get people in the parks
Good idea.
as a different thing. So maybe when you converse with her, ask about it. Because right now they didn't have a good way to move that bike.
Are you
Nobody wants to
volunteering?
ride this big bike through town, but they were working on getting a trailer or something to do that. So, but to me, that would be nice to go, especially in like at Morton Park where it's underserved, to get kids there and give them books. I thought that'd be awesome, have a little, thing, maybe some games or something. So if we could do that as well.
So we need to have a little powwow with her.
Yes,
and
yeah.
Have some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. About the
I met.
Ms. Rosga just reminded me of something. We've reopened conversations with Morton's attorneys,
Okay.
and we feel like, or the city manager feels like they're willing to remove some of the language that was preventing us from building that parking lot.
Excellent.
Good, that's
So,
great.
sorry, I forgot about that.
You gonna let Jen know?
I will send an email. She'll be really,
Yeah.
she'll probably
That's
want
awesome.
us to learn, but thank you.
One more thing on story time. Had the chance today with Chief Glass, and we went on a tour, and he showed me that costume thing that they got with that dog. And anyhow, and they want to get more in. They're very involved in the community. He's very community oriented. That I said, hey, would a policeman ever read a story in the park and have story time with the police in the park? He said, and we didn't commit or anything, but he was right on board. And they had this costume, they had sunglasses that matched the little dog thing that they could give away. They had doodle books, like coloring books with activities. I mean, it's like done. You
So
just
that's
have-
another thing.
It's just like another time, yeah, police with, share time with the police in the park, and it would be so.
Well, they
cool.
could do
He's
that.
got all the stuff, he just
The
didn't have a
story time,
snack. We
they
could
just-
provide that.
What kind of story does he read?
Well, we'll find, I said I'd find a nice book about, you know, the police officer helping kids or something. We'd find the right story. And then they had that activity book, and it's neat, because the kids do like to do stuff when we have in lieu of a craft, just do
Yeah.
the activity, so I thought that's that's like a done deal if he's, and I think they were on board with that.
Could probably get the fire department to do one too.
Yes.
You know, firefighting, have a fire engine.
And they have that big community day that the kids come to, but this would be just in addition, and it wouldn't take them
Yeah.
a long time, you know, yeah, with the big, that would be great.
So we got 3 ideas already.
Yeah,
That's
so
on the
these
story
are
time.
like, yeah.
That's great.
Good.
Makes it
Cool.
easy. And then Liz, you had the idea if we could do a winter story time, and we wanted to ask you, Jeff, if Angie is up for it, could we ever bring that new rocket-shaped
Fire pit.
fire pit over to the library story park, even though that's not like a city park, to do an event in the winter? We thought it'd be nice to have hot cocoa, and of course we gotta run all this by.
It would be on public land
Yeah,
Is
library.
at the library?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
little new little story.
You know that
park
little
there?
spot where they tore
Yeah,
down the house?
probably.
Is that acceptable to think about at least?
Well, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and not too much. We could spend some more time
Makes
in the
more
park in winter.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Okay. Good talk, good talk. And
Yeah.
park art drop, I already read Karen's request for art or Manistee themed activities, so. Any other activities, events you guys want to do? Is that enough?
Well,
That's a lot.
I guess I can ask now or ask later, but have we heard anything about pickleball group? You know, that committee was supposed to form to like study? Uh-oh, she's,
I don't have anything.
okay.
No, nothing yet.
I would love for that to happen.
Okay.
There is a plan in the works.
I
Okay.
yeah, I kind of halted because I think there's a plan.
Okay.
Okay.
I may have alluded to it earlier that there's a plan that we're waiting to be presented.
I'm sorry? I'm sorry.
I may have alluded to it earlier that we're awaiting a plan to be presented.
Okay.
Okay. It's enigmatic. I
Cryptic,
like
yeah.
it. All right, we'll look forward to hearing that sometime.
Hmm.
I lost our place here. New business, let's see, memorials, sorry about that. Unless, we already talked about budget, right? Out of order a little bit. Do you have anything budget-wise other than we need to think about our priorities? Okay.
The only thing that I've come up with for memorials is there are benches that will be included in the new memorial park. And I think we can obviously turn those into memorial benches. But that buys us a very small little
A couple.
gap.
A couple.
So we need a long-term solution still.
I noticed from that information you provided us, the benches don't look like they're the powder-coated ones that I thought we were trying to make standard.
Well, in that, we needed to, in order to gain points from the DNR grant, we needed to state that we were using renewable. There had to be some renewable elements. And so the benches that were in that packet are made of recycled materials, and so,
But they're still gonna be majority maintenance-free, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right,
we have some down at First Street Beach
okay,
along the channel.
all right.
They look nice.
Yeah, and those are just examples, but yeah.
Okay. Can I don't know if it's possible, but Katie, we talked on the phone about memorials and what to do about benches, and I was wondering, the blue benches that you guys put there's so many of them and they're scattered at First Street and the dog park and the disc golf, and I know they're already installed, but would it be possible, it would be immediate, to offer those as
Yeah,
memorials?
100%.
Those are
And
nice.
just have a little map, and I
Mhm.
mean, we wanted something quickly, what are we gonna do next? That could easily be something, at least to fill in.
Yeah, as people
so we-
call in, we can identify that there's some existing ones. There's really no new locations planned, but the existing ones, yeah, you can
Yeah.
include all the ones that we installed this year.
Do you know how many there are? I mean,
There's what, 3 at Mac Park, there was 2 at Duffy,
I think there's like 5
6.
at the dog park.
There were 6 in the disc golf and 3 in the dog park, and then 3 in the First Street Playground.
And 2 at Morton, too.
I even
Basketball court.
I thought I started at Morton.
saw one up
There
on
was
the
3
hill
at
at
3
Sands
at
Park.
Morton.
Yeah.
Oh, I said Mac, I meant Morton, sorry.
Isn't there one at Sands Park up kind of on the hill behind the teen center? There's a blue bench on the sledding hill, the former sledding hill. Is that?
That would be, that's not Parks property.
Okay. It looks like the same.
But yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, we can make those available, and the ones that we put along the Riverwalk down by First and Cherry, we re-put plaques on the ones that were there, but there's a couple there too.
Is that something that needs to be voted on, or can we just say, let's just do
No, I
that
think
for
they're just,
now
we just do it.
until we figure some other.
Yep.
So then what do they pay?
Yeah,
Right.
What price?
I'll work with you on it.
okay.
Do we know how much they would be if, not yet?
I just said I'll work on it with her.
Oh, thank you.
We'll go back to what it was last time we published it.
Yeah.
Look how easy that was. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If only everything were that easy, right? Thank you. Okay, so that's memorials. Do we ever figure out a suggested memorial policy?
No.
Do we want to keep working on that?
Well, I know I was supposed to be working out with Liz, and I've been distracted. That's my only excuse.
I think the big thing is, one of the things was how long do we honor this? It's not for perpetuity, but like what is the life of the bench? And probably it may vary if we change it from benches, but that's probably our big thing. And it's just an informational thing. And then like if we don't have their contact and the bench disintegrates or over time, it needs to be, do we remove this, remove the plaque and put it somewhere in City Hall that we keep these plaques? Do we try to get it back to the people who we no longer have contact with or whoever bought it? I mean, what do we do with these little plaques? But I think we just need to be a little bit upfront when the people buy them.
I would agree. I think most people, when they do the memorial bench, are thinking it's gonna be there for their lifetime, to be honest with you. I don't think because there's never been a time, a limit, like.
You mean for their lifetime or the lifetime of the bench?
Probably
Whose
their
lifetime?
Right.
We're thinking the lifetime of the bench.
And that's the thing, how do you track that?
Right.
Let's say
Yeah.
it's 99 years, like you have to keep somebody's payroll.
And do we
record.
keep buying new benches and putting the same people's names
Well,
on them?
typically
I mean,
that's-
where that gets tricky.
I did read.
I think it needs to be removed and put on something because otherwise the city has a huge expense to keep buying. I mean, we're worried about new memorials. We'll just be buying old benches for the same people forever. I think that's a big commitment. And I don't know that I would expect that. I mean.
But what if the city does a redesign and those benches are gonna be retired at some point, down the line?
I read a few cities had policies, and a lot of them were like 10 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say 10
And
years.
I was surprised to read that, but they all had an end point. It said 10 years,
That's what I think. And if you
Or
tell
or
someone up
until
front,
like
I
the
think they
bench,
understand.
something happens with the bench. Or if it's vandalized,
Do
then
we
there
have a
was.
memorial committee?
Yes.
It's lenient.
Then it'd be nice to have a recommendation that we can vote on.
We've
when they make
started,
a motion.
we have a form, and we've talked about possible items you can memorialize. And basically, we just need to bring it together.
Does the 10 years sound good to everybody?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we'll put that in.
Well, I first of all, this is a recommendation. You would vote on a recommendation, but I think this would be a sensitive enough manner that I would take this to council to formalize it as a council policy or a general policy. I kind of agree with Tim, though. When people memorialize a loved one, that memory is forever. And I can make the argument both ways. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but those assets are assets that the community enjoys every day. And so replacing that asset, if we had no memorials on them and a bench went bad, we would
Still
buy a new
replace it.
bench and replace it. But I think research is good, and I think discussion's good, and I'd be happy that you guys worked on that.
It'd almost be like grandfathered in. I mean, honestly, you'd have to consider that. And then any new benches coming out, then you put the 10-year time limit on it, in my opinion.
How would you even manage that?
And I tell you, it's very interesting when we mess up and we mix up a bench and put it
Oh,
where,
yeah.
put two in the wrong locations, the
Yeah.
family points it out immediately.
We did.
Immediately. I wasn't even thinking of that, but yeah, it happens.
At the Miami Beach with my dad's, when they switched it, everyone's like, what? It's Dad's bench.
Yeah.
Jeff moved it back, so, but when they redid it, they sanded it down, made it beautiful, they just put it in a different location than what it was. I'm like, no.
But to me, that shows that they really
Here.
care.
Yeah.
They really do.
And they did make a donation to the city, so it was a nice,
I don't necessarily think there should be a outer limit on it. If the bench lasts, and, I mean, I don't think we
it
should
could last
necessarily
20 years. I'm not
allow
saying
someone
change them in
else's
10 years. I'm just saying that if the bench disappears, do we have to buy the new one with the same name on it?
I like what Jeff said. It's something that the people are using. It's the structure, and if it deteriorated, they would replace it anyways.
Put
So
the same plaque back on.
yeah.
Yeah,
And you could always put
more than one plant.
more than one plaque on it. There's one downtown or one or two. Some of them have 3 plaques on it, and that's not, it's kind of interesting. You just
But,
read them.
but that's by choice by the families.
Okay.
Yes.
Typically, it's 3 different households of within that same family that put
That
their
makes
flags
sense.
on there.
If I put another plaque on Tim's father's bench, he'd be the first one to call the next day.
Oh yeah,
Well, I mean, respectfully, you would.
stepmother would.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's personal.
Yes.
I mean, it is a
Yes,
good.
it is.
It is a, having had one or have one on the beach. It's a very personal thing. So. the
So
families take it.
I think this is a very good exercise, but I think we need to be real thoughtful about it. And maybe we even talk to some, like Tim, or some families that have memorials and,
Like Katie said, let's look at what other towns have done and maybe call them and say, hey, is this working for you?
Sure.
Are they comfortable with
Yeah.
this, or are you getting complaints?
in this, you make grandfather in what's there, but there may be a new program that you memorialize and you need some guidance on that. And so I think it's worth it.
And we've also talked, like, the benches may be grandfathered in, but we have also talked about bricks, we talked about fish, we talked about
Right.
various other things. We're doing these river walks. If there was a patio or something where they bought bricks, and those might be forever too. So a lot of towns are doing that.
It's a good thing to address.
Yes, it
It
is.
needs to be
It
addressed.
needs to be addressed, and it needs to be in writing.
Yeah.
So we'll have to get together.
Yeah.
Somebody else want to join us? Tim, you might be a good one on this committee. Sure.
Absolutely.
Have 3 of us. Have Tim.
I think there's nothing new on Duffy Park concessions other than, you said all of the city's items are out of the Duffy concession building?
We never had anything in there.
You didn't?
It was
Okay.
MRA stuff.
Yeah.
So they removed their stuff? There's nothing? Okay, it doesn't matter for the winter, I suppose,
We
but
should look at it. So, because spring's,
peek through the window, do you have?
we should peek, Karen, or whoever has Duffy Park, we should look at that, so when the weather, all of a sudden it's gonna be soccer season, and that's kind of what we ran into now, the stuff was in there, and
As far as like
Eric seemed
serving
willing,
coffee,
yeah,
Like,
and Eric was enthusiastic, if it's his property, he wanted it, so he was fine with that, so he would come.
But they're the same people that are the only people who wanted to use the space. The MRA was the one that inquired about using the concessions as concessions, and then they had stuff stored in there, so I don't have a
We're talking about
conflict.
letting Grad Bash or different entities
Yeah, I think
actually.
it's not gonna work out for Grad Bash. The timeline is they need to be done by, you know,
Maybe
late April,
band
early May.
boosters or maybe
Some
other
others.
people, you know, as a little fundraiser. If it's the MRA, that's fine too, but maybe other high school groups want to use it or other,
You definitely have to staff it, so.
Yes.
Start it, you gotta continue it.
Yeah.
so. I think we could get John down there, he'd probably volunteer. Look at, he's nodding yes.
It was my understanding that MRA does not want to be the ones in charge of doing concessions, but to open it up so that volunteer
They were
groups could jump
provided.
in
they would
and
provide the schedule.
have a
and
space.
when the
Okay.
games would be.
We'll look into that then as the weather starts to clear up and figure out what it needs to stock it and make it happen, offer some basics.
And see if anybody, maybe over the winter, if any group
Yeah.
does like,
You can always expand it
like
later.
the band boosters are always looking for something, some money.
Good.
Can't think of it, yeah. Yeah, anything like that, I guess.
Okay, anybody thinking about online Lions Pavilion scheduling anymore, or is that just kind of fallen to down the rabbit hole?
Sounds like nothing.
No.
The MRA had, I stated this many months ago, the MRA had some interest and I offered to explore a partnership with them. I think it's still a relevant conversation and probably will come up in the budget discussions.
Let's see. So,
You did have property acquisition for man-made. We did receive our final score on the land acquisition for that private lot on man-made. So you submit your application, the DNR scores it, they give it back to you, you get to see where you scored and where you didn't. You can amend your application and resubmit it, and our application went down 50 points after we resubmitted it. So we're like, how is that possible? And they figured out that they had a calculation error.
Oh, good.
So,
in our favor or against?
well, it was minus 50, so
Did we break even then? or
they
did we
restored
gain?
it, but,
Okay.
so I think our score is 315. We don't know where that's gonna fall in the funding range. It depends on how much money is available, how many people applied, how much money they're gonna put towards, development, which is park improvements, versus acquisition, which is what we're asking for. This past cycle, when we went for Memorial Park, we didn't score high enough to be in that fundable category. But if you remember, Sean Middleton from Spicer and I went and
Yeah.
presented with them, and they earmarked us with the last money that was left. So, so we'll have to see how this one unfolds, but
Would that be a full grant or is it just a matching grant or what kind of grant?
it requires a match.
Okay.
All right, and we've already talked about North Riverwalk. Will you let us know when the time comes that we might want to make a statement of support?
For,
The North Riverwalk landscape plan.
oh,
some
oh,
point.
oh. Yeah, for some reason, I went to North Beach Access, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, North Riverwalk, sorry.
Yeah,
What
when
would be the timeline that we might want to?
well, as we get drawings that come out of Spicer, then I'll bring those to you and you can react to them.
And then when do you want us to have a priorities list for you? Is that something you want in January?
By 6:45. January, February is okay. I start collecting information, asking for pricing on things. I sit down with my staff and, wants, needs, and all those type of things, but I go through a lot of different budgets. And then in February, we really start assembling those. So January, February
Okay.
would be great.
So if we're maybe thinking about them, because we don't have another meeting till January after this, there's no December meeting. If we all think about it
Yeah.
after
Come
Christmas,
with
maybe, and come prepared at January's meeting with a list of,
Yeah, and
that'd be okay.
understanding that this is, our capital improvement plans for each department are 5-year plans, 6-year plans, so, so it doesn't matter how many items, but listing those items and then prioritizing those. And it doesn't have to be the same as last year. It can be, like I said, modifying what you submitted last year, adding to it, subtracting. But it's very helpful for me to be able to request and defend that this was the priority of the commission, so I appreciate your work on that.
Does that sound good, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. And we're almost done. Roundtable discussion. Anybody starting with Tim?
Really?
Yeah.
No, I look forward to 2025, so really would like to get that movies in the park thing going.
Yes.
It's been a long-term goal, but let me know what I can do to help you support that. I ran into a brick wall when the Vogue kind of backed out. They weren't gonna participate, but I think we wouldn't have any problem getting the funds to be able to support that and get it to work. If we end up getting a stage ever built out there, that'd be ideal. I mean, that would be half the battle right there, honestly. Because obviously there'd be a sound system and everything else established, so. My priorities, I think, for 2025 are the movies in the park, getting that prioritized, and working on the city flag. Getting that updated and getting that in our parks.
So, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
House.
So, I just wanna throw this out there. Manistee Catholic Central is now vacant. It has a natural bowl, okay? How many places has a natural
Oh, yeah.
bowl for a football field? It's a natural bowl. It's awesome.
Right.
It's just sitting there. There's bathrooms, concession stands. It'd be nice, maybe even on a temporary basis, this group was trying to hold concerts and stuff. And those people are already trained to put up with the noise. So to try some things there to see how it works. It's kind of a shame, but there's parking there.
Who owns that?
I imagine the Diocese of Gaylord, yeah. If there was a way to make use of that, even on a temporary basis.
Yeah, I like that.
So I'm throwing out there, don't forget about that natural bowl sitting there vacant with everything you need. I don't think a baseball field would fit in there though, like the group you're saying is interested. But, because I don't know the exact dimensions, but it may even fit in there and it seats 300 people easy. So let's not forget about it.
Put that bowl in your head.
Yep, it's out there, and that's all I gotta say.
Liz saw my facial expression, so I'll explain a little bit that I know. But
Okay.
when we were kind of cleaning up and decommissioning the recycling center there, I think he was a business manager from the Archdiocese, told me that supporters, interested families, that there was a lot of people strongly opposed to that school closing.
Yeah.
And they've referred it all the way to the Pope. And so he said that, because I asked him, like, what's next for this property? And he said, this is all the way to Rome at this point. And he said, I have no idea where it goes or how long it's going to take. So I don't know, but I think it would be, until all that stuff's kind of cleaned up and decided, it may be a tough ask. And then he did point out that they gated all the driveways. They've got surveillance cameras because they've had a lot of trespassing, and so they're sensitive. Doesn't mean that's a no-go, but
Well, they might be willing to rent it,
maybe.
That kind of thing, temporarily, because it'd be a fundraiser.
Well, I remember seeing Eddie Rabbit play there.
See?
Do you remember that?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He came in concert.
I remember the horses.
No, horses.
Flip the Sanders.
Yes, I remember that.
And I'm sure it needs work, but, it's kind of got a lot of going for it, for a lot of ways.
One thing that might affect that is you know, there was a little bit of talk whether they can maintain a not-for-profit status as far as their property taxes go when it's not being used. Right now, it's just vacant property. So when it was used for a school, they were not paying property taxes.
Right.
I don't know what the policy is, as how long it can be no longer used without having a change in the property tax status.
Well, it's still
So
a
that-
church.
It's owned by a church, but it's
Yeah.
not used as a church. It's not used. So that may affect that. If they may need to use it to maintain the not paying property taxes. That could affect it. I don't know. Just a, you know, it's too bad it closed, but, I think they do want it. I don't think that they can maintain a church status on just land that's not being used for a church. Just another thought, another reason. That's a good idea.
I just say, I said it was 2 weeks ago, because I go to Divine Mercy, in the church bulletin, Father James expressed interest in letting outside groups use the gym.
Oh, wow.
So there's, and I sent, that's the correspondence, I sent an email to Eric Thummel letting him know that if you're interested, I know he mentioned he wanted to use it for Murray basketball if possible, so I sent him a link to the contact
Well,
info to
that's-
check that out. So
that's
it's
huge.
possible.
That's huge,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, if he's thinking about it for, I can't speak for them, but,
Yeah,
you
if they're
know, it's
willing to
possible
do
they're
that,
willing
they
to-
might, yeah.
If someone opened up that conversation.
Because they could hold music fundraisers there, bring in porta
Yes.
potties even. And it'd be used, a lot of the structures there, and it could be a huge event. So, anyway, that's why I brought it up, is because,
It's right there.
yeah, and it's like, I gotta get it out, I can't hold it in
It's
anymore.
all in our heads.
It's worth a
We got it.
conversation if there's somebody who wants to
Yeah, and, you
reach
know,
out and ask.
I'll probably
I mean, there's
keep-
no
Well,
harm in
yeah, that's
asking, right?
far more hope than the person I talked to, so that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And to hear that,
And
right.
it could change too, based on many
Right,
other
it
things.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, because we don't want it, I don't think, as a community, to have it turned to rack and room, you know, right on the highway. Ah,
No,
you know,
it'd be better to be
it's
used.
kind of like the old hospital, you don't really want it to
Or
look.
like
Kennedy School, Kennedy School. We've
Yeah,
had bad luck with schools.
yeah, exactly.
As far as
Yeah, we don't want it to look
deteriorate.
like Kennedy School, yeah.
They're planning to break ground on that project though in January, February. I just talked to the contractor this morning.
The residents out of Kennedy? Wow, great.
Yeah, that would be,
600 apartments there, and there's another 600 one being designed next to it.
Out in
What?
Parkdale, the old
Mhm.
Kennedy?
I didn't know there were that many.
what kind of apartments are they? Workforce or are they,
Market
They're
based?
market rate,
yeah, good.
as far as I know.
So a total of 1,200?
2 separate projects, 2 separate developers, yes.
A lot of people coming to town. Good.
Anything else, Lane?
No,
Okay, I have two things. I just covered up all of my wooden deck furniture on my porch for the winter and have these great tarps over it to help preserve the wood. And I drove by Duffy, I think it was this morning, and it was all, you know, wet and cold, and there was even a few snowflakes, and I was wondering, the bleachers there look really nice after you guys stained and put new boards, and is there any possibility that you would cover those with a tarp over the winter, like I do my deck furniture, right? And then it lasts longer, and you don't have to stain it as often. There's no tarpage that you could.
I could just
I don't wanna
imagine
see you
how it
guys-
would blow up.
Well, you'd anchor it, right?
It'd have to be shrink wrap, probably.
It's not worth it to. I don't want to see you guys have to work more, and we come back and we're like, oh my gosh, Jeff, look at these. What happened to it over the winter? No. That's worth the shot. Okay.
Bye.
We're just talking.
I'm not volunteering to go to tarp bleachers, but okay, that people never do that. Tarp bleachers.
Move on.
Okay.
Your second point.
Creative process, it's just coming up with stuff and throwing it at you. The other thing is, as much as it pained me to see the tennis courts come out from Sands Park, because that was a great location for tennis courts, but I've got to say, now that they're out, it looks really nice. It really does, and I hate it that I'm saying that because I didn't want to like it, but it's really nice.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah. So sad for the loss of what was there, but I think it's gonna be a good potential for, like you said, practice fields or whatever we decide to put in there, so. Sorry, that's all I have.
Just one thing, it was a young family commented, and there was quite a few young families that were together. And they said, Manistee doesn't offer much on Sundays in the parks or anything. They said, would you ever do an event on Sunday? And I thought we were talking about the movies in the parks. Sunday is a good movie night.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, let us consider it, I'll bring it up, and I'm just mentioning it because I don't want to forget it. But a Sunday afternoon, they said Lunny has that little museum open, and they said, Manistee, we have the beach, and we have things, of course, but it'd be nice to have a planned activity. I thought, well, we can maybe do something.
On Sundays.
Yeah, on a Sunday, not every Sunday, but a couple, because I never thought of a Sunday, so, that's all.
How about you, John?
I'm good.
I guess that's everything.
Can I add one more thing? I'm sorry. Can you go back? Have we ever thought about bringing back the art fair at the park over on North Side? Red?
I think that's a different group. It's not.
Well, they just banned it. They're not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
Have we
They-
ever thought about?
They formed a new group
Oh, they did?
and they relocated to the Armory
Yeah.
during the Forest Festival.
Okay. All right. We missed that over on the north side. I just wonder if that could be resurrected if we got a group that wanted to do something like that. Just go through all the procedures that need to be gone through. All right. It was a good thing.
Yes, it was.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Jeff, you got anything round table? You good?
I do not.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second?
Thank you.